So I'm going to do one more thing with this concept. And also while I'm here, I'm going to take a look and see how I evaluate this new general and rate it with my main. So let me start off with that. And one thing that does change things here now is because of this concept that I came up with, which I'm thinking most of the providers probably don't know about what I just posted, because if they did, you would evaluate generals differently, right? Because granted, you're going to have to max 2 generals, but you would have to evaluate generals differently because the general attributes mean nothing now. If you have the ability to build 2 generals, take the general attributes and the rate of ascending them and take that and put that into a different general. So now you get to have both. So let's just take a look. 127 leadership, 129 attack. Let's push that against Ragnar. So Ragnar's attack is much higher. Now let's go back down and let's see what you got. Let's see what you got, honey. Let's see what's under the hood. I'm going to just look at the attack because that's going to be easy enough to memorize. So 55. Not that that's the only important thing, but it's going to be easier this way. So we go through the ascension first. 55, 65, 85, 90, 130, 140, 150, 160, 210, 220, 225, 235. That's pretty high. 235 total attack. $45, $55, 60, 70, 105, 115, 125, 135, 135, 175, 180, 185, 195, 200, 210. So they end up being equal, 50-50 across the board. She would probably be better just because I've got this guy done, so she's going to get that extra 10% in rally range troop attack. But all in all, I would say a draw. Let's look at march size real quick. 6%. Hmm. 14%. So he gets 14%. What does she get? Nothing there. 10%. 8%. So she gets 18. So I think she does get a little higher march size. Right? She is 14. 14. No March size. So 4% more. Nah. It's a little bit more. It might create a little bit more damage, but I mean, to like really go into it, you really should look at the HP at a minimum. But hell, I'll go through the motions and just take a look. So we're going to call it a draw because his general attributes are higher than hers. $35, $45, $70, $80, $90, 100% HP. Whoops. $110 HP. 110 HP on Ragnar, and what does she get? $35. $60, $100, $120, $150. She has much higher HP. 127, but let's just go back and look at his numbers. Yeah, so she's higher HP. So with higher HP, I'm going to say that like her advantage with a little higher march size and higher HP. You're going to want her with someone that's got a really big march size. So I think Cook is in play. Yeah, he's solid. I think Franz Joseph is in play. I think Cook is probably the superior. So you go either or. Main or assistant for either one. His attack's a little bit higher. Well, let's just look at him. 50, 75, 85. 120, 130, 140, 150, 195, 200, 210, 220, with 8% march size. Nothing there, nothing there. 18. So Cook is probably better than both of them. A little lower on the attack. So him and Ragnar are probably pretty equal, but he has a higher march size. And likely he's going to have higher HP. 40. 50, 80, right there, 90, 100, 120, 120, 5, 135. So still lower than the new gal. So end of the day, I would say Artemisia the first. She's pretty close. And Sydney is probably better than both of them. But she's solid all the way around. But let's just look at assistant. Does she have March size in her kit? She's got it in the Covenant. So 8%. I wouldn't even call her like a over the top. She's one that you're going to have to like max build all the way. And she would be one of the best. I'm not going to say she is the best because I don't think she is. But she's going to be one of the best. I think Sydney is probably still bar none. But let's just take a look. 45, 55, 60, 85, 90, 135, 145, 155, 165, 165 plus 40 is 205, 210, 215, 220. So they are pretty relative. I feel like Ragnar is still really solid. I feel like this new gal is solid. Sydney is still one of the best. I don't know if he is the best. He probably is because he's got as high attack as Ragnar. So I think Sydney probably is the best. So now to get to the meat of this discussion, which was, okay, so we were talking in the last video about Romulus, Christina, and the ability to take Christina's general attributes with the rising rate through soul binding and add to Romulus, creating the super general. So what this means, a lot of people view generals and they evaluate generals, and I'm a player that does that with every general that comes out. So with that being said, evaluating generals becomes different because we use these general attributes right here. I'll take a picture. So we use these as part of the evaluation. And honestly, that's a big part because of two generals are kind of tied up on the percentages, but you're better here, then that general wins out. I mean, if you're pretty much even across the board and the general attributes are much better on one than the other, then that kind of ends the whole conversation and it's a done deal. So now when we're evaluating what's the best, it changes everything because now you can go off the attack, the HP, the defense, what have you, depending on the troop type. Different attributes will have more value. So, with this being said, now we look at things differently, and you can't evaluate a general as easily as you could before because now we've got also have the dynamic of yes, but also coffee and cigarette time. Also, when we look at this, and this is something that I really didn't want to delete screenshot, we now question what is the best. So, which I talked to a player and we were discussing wiki, this, that, and the other. But for me, and I told other players in my server this already, that aren't in my alliance, I reached out and said, hey, this is going to be like the banger, the new meta. And people thought I was nuts. Oh, la, la, la. Well, we're not going to talk general attributes at all. Let's just look at this. So we're going to look at the attack and the HP. So attack first, 50, 60, 80, 100, 130. 140, 150, 190, 200, 210. 210 attack. 50, 60, 70, 80, 120, 130, 180, 190, 195. So on the attack, Maria Carolina is higher. General attributes, again, he is much higher on the attack and leadership. But if you have him maxed, soul bind him to Maria Carolina, and now Maria Carolina on the attack, bar none, no arguing it, is much higher on the attack. Not much higher, but we're talking about 10, 15%. So now let's look at the HP. Is 50, 60, 70, 100, 10, 130. $145. 145 HP. 50, 60, 70, 110, 115, 125, 135, 160 HP. Oh, we aren't even into the covenant yet. 170 HP. 180 HP. So, and defense is more important in ground than in others, but most people concentrate HP and attack. We'll take a look anyway. 40, 50, 60. Ooh, that's going to hurt her. 165. Oof, that's gnarly. 170. Or no, 70, 85, 95. 120. I think it's 120. I kind of got lost along the way a little bit. Let me just go back and double check it. Defense is 40, 50, 60, and nothing there. 65, 75. 100. 105. 105. So it's like, I already know that she's like way lower than Narcissus on defense, because I'm pretty sure his defensive side 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. 105. 115. 135. It's about 20% lower, but all in all, like, I would say, irregardless of what, I mean, like, so many of you players, like, you're just like, oh, Wikipedia says, or this says, but, like, that's the easy answer, and that's like the giveaway answer. It's to really take it to the next level. You need to look at everything, and this is possibly really new. Like, maybe no one else has thought of this. I don't know. I'll have to look on YouTube and see if there are other videos about this. But sitting here and looking at this, I'm going to go ahead and say, if you use this concept, you would have the best ground general, rally or rain, bar none, all the way around. And I really like Zhang too, because he was like really, really universal. He wasn't better than Narcissus, but I'm going to go ahead and say if you have Narcissus completely built and you've looked at Carolina and you're like, oh, well, I have Narcissus, she's good, but she's not as good at him, as good as he is, I would go ahead and say that now, looking at this concept and soul binding her with Narcissus would give you, bar none, the best possible ground general that you can have, especially matched with Lucilla, which I consider her to be absolutely phenomenal. She does match with Carolina, so in that concept, you're going to have a super, super, super strong combo, whether it's attacking, rallying, or defending buildings, temples, throne. And if no one has posted a video like this and nobody else has come up with this concept, I'm going to go ahead and say that just broke the game. Like now, when you evaluate a general, you're going to need to go back and you're going to have to look at the general attributes. And if it's a general that's really close, that's going to be the deciding factor. Is you're like, oh, well, if you soul bind him or her with this general, you get this, and these are the best general attributes. So, without a doubt, it's a much better general. In this case, people love Narcissus. I had a player, he's a friend of mine, and I wasn't going to debate. I didn't want to argue with him. And he was like, well, it's hard to beat this, and it was a completely done Narcissus, which I'm like, true. And he said, well, Wikipedia, and I'm like, okay. But now that that's being mentioned, I kind of want to go back and look, because I didn't take the skin into consideration. Let me just see. I have no idea what Narcissus skin is, because I knew I wasn't going to get it. So my whole deal was like, I used him as an assistant, continued to use him as an assistant, still using him as an assistant today. But let's see, what is this coat hanger? What do you give me? HP 15. So, with that being said, I think she is still going to be better, because I think the HP, she was considerably ahead of him. So, I mean, maybe if you have the skin, you're a little closer. But, and I don't remember. I just, went through it, and, it's on the video, so I could go back and look. But I think even with that 15, I think Carolina is still going to be better. But here's the issue that I'm coming in is I don't have Narcissus done. So, I'm stuck with this. And with it being like this, it's going to mean that Narcissus is better until I can max him, which is not going to be easy, because I've only got, I think, 2 or 3 red stars on him. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good for shit. So let's see. I think I only got 2 stars on him, if I'm honest. 2. We got a long way to go, son. We got a long way to go. So anyway, but that's my take on it, and that's what changes the way I thought. And from what I'm seeing, that's going to change the way your general is, what your general is. So, but I just wanted to do a follow-up, because it hit me right away, was that, okay, well, now the way that they evaluate generals in all the charts are null and void for all players that do have the ability to do this and have a maxed general in whatever troop type, and then the next general that comes out that has the highest percentage buffs and an equal or better march size, but is weaker in the general attributes. Now you use the general attributes from that general, from the other general that has the best attributes, and now you've got the best of both worlds, so now you do have a super general. So what it is going to do is it does change the way everyone evaluates generals, but I've never really followed the spreadsheets. Everyone would just throw out a spreadsheet and be like, oh, well, it's right here, it's right here, it's right here, it's right here. Easy answer. And I don't like easy answers, especially in this game. I still write everything out in paper and pen and write down every little thing that you get. So with that being said, this doesn't affect the way I look at generals because I can't say that I came up with this idea. I feel like I probably did. But like I said, I have to go back and do some research to really know if I was the only one that came up with it. And I really don't care if I was or if I wasn't. My whole deal is it's out there now. And I mean, I guess we see what it is. Maybe no one else has come up with it. You always worry about the mail when you give advice. Boosted, you're one of the lucky few in your alliances that gets to have a 2-second part in my video. In a way, that changes the total dynamic of the game and how you are going to review generals. If you do have the ability, and any player that's like my size or bigger or has what I have or more than what I have, open, unlocked, or just available in your city, is most likely going to be able to do this. But yeah, it's going to completely change how you evaluate generals, and it really opens up the whole true value of soul binding. And I think this is like the true value of soul binding is the ability to take the general attributes from the best in each troop type and put that into the new general that has the highest percentages and or march size. So at the end of the day, it is opening the door to super generals. And in a way, like this popped into my head like a random idea. I was outside my Airbnb smoking a cigarette, and then I got to thinking of generals, and I'm like, man, I just wish this general had better attributes. And then we had a discussion in my alliance about soul binding, and then all of a sudden I'm like, why wouldn't you take the general in each troop type with the best possible general attributes that rise at the highest rate and plug them into the percentages of generals? And all this from a player that in the past was called, quote unquote, you're just one player that knows a little about the game, of which there are many. There's nothing special about you. You don't know more than anybody else. You're just one of many. Well, maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But you know what? If I'm not just one of many, then I came up with a concept that has not been come up in the game, which I wouldn't be surprised if players from RSP or HOT or any of those have already been using this for a long time, and no one ever thought to make a video of it. And I'm going to go look right after I post this. But either way, it's groundbreaking. Because you can take the best stuff from one general and add it to the best stuff of another general and have the complete package. So that being said, like me, hate me, go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe, share with your friends, and let's continue to learn more about the game. AKA my health, not AKA, but also in addition, PS, my health has become much better over the last couple weeks. So with that being said, I am more active and I am actively learning, testing, and studying more stuff in the game again. We will see more videos on the way in the future. But I just wanted to do a follow-up and hit this up real quick. So with that being said, we'll see over the next 48 hours how many other providers take this idea and post a similar video. So let's stand by your phones and wait. All right, folks. Talk to you later.